What's going on? So I'm back into another video, and today is another video like the 100 movies I missed that I have not been dreading because it's not as daunting of a list, but have not completely been looking forward to. But today we are kind of closing out 2020. We're moving past it, moving past 2020 movies, and we are going to close it out with my ranking of all the movies from 2020 that I saw. Now, this list is not complete, and I will tell you why. I recently, very thankfully, was accepted into the Online Film and Television Association on the film branch. So that means I will be voting on awards for that association, which means I have some catching up to do. I've got a lot of films I have not seen yet that I need to watch, some of which include First Cow, Minari, and what's the one I'm forgetting? I'm literally forgetting one off the top of my head that I'm not positive on. Nomadland. And a few of the others, The Vast Night, The Father, I'm Thinking of Ending Things, The 40-Year-Old Version, Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always. Those are some that I haven't seen that I will see in the next few months, but we're at the end of January, or the latter half of January. It's time to move past 2020, and today we are ranking all the ones that I've seen up until this point. I have cut it off. This is how many I saw in the year 2020. We have 75. So I got some constructive criticism in one of my comments, and you know who you are. Thank you so much for giving me this criticism. When I did the longer one, the 151 of 100 movies I missed, where, my 5 out of 5 stars, probably should have talked about them a little bit more, probably should have elaborated a little bit more. So I'm going to do that this time. I'm going to go 75 through 21. I'm just going to list them off like I did in the other video, and then my top 20, I will give my thoughts on the films. So we're going to hop into it. This is a very jumbled list. There's a lot of different things on this list. There's short films, animated short films. We've got documentaries, and just a lot of different stuff. But I think without further ado, let's just kind of hop right into it. So we're going to start at number 75, and that is The Last Thing He Wanted. I gave it a half star. 74, The Last Days of American Crime. I gave it 1 star. 73, To All the Boys, P.S. I Still Love You. 1 star. 72, The Kissing Booth 2. 1 star. 71, Downhill, 1 star. 70, What Did Jack Do? 1.5 stars. 69, Desperados, 1.5 stars. 68, Buddy Games, 1.5 stars. 67, Spencer Confidential, 2 stars. 66, Hillbilly Elegy, 2 stars. 65, The Social Dilemma, 2 stars. 64 is Ava, I believe is how you pronounce it, 2 stars. 63 is Arkansas with 2.5 stars. 62 is Lovers Rock with 2.5 stars. That's going to be the hottest take I have in this video today. 61, The Midnight Sky, 2.5 stars. 60, The Lovebirds, 2.5 stars. 59, The Weekend After Hours short film, 2.5 stars. 58, I Still Believe, 2.5 stars. 57, Guns Akimbo, 2.5 stars. 56, Sylvie's Love, 2.5 stars. 55, Jungle Land, 3 stars. 54, Wasp Network, 3 stars. 53, Chemical Hearts, 3 stars. 52, Buffaloed, 3 stars. 51, Phineas and Ferb the Movie, Candace Against the Universe, 3 stars. 50 is the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special, 3 stars. 49, Project Power. 48, I'm Your Woman. 47, Sonic the Hedgehog. 46, Alex Wheatle, which is part of the Small Axe series. And I will mention, if I didn't already, Lovers Rock is also part of the Small Axe anthology. 54, we're in the 3.5 stars now. 54 is Hannah Gadsby Douglas. It is a comedy special. 44 is Enola Holmes. 43 is Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. 42 is Lamplight, short film on Disney+. 41 is Playdate with Destiny, the short film that played before Soul. 40 is The Scheme. 39 is Goldman vs. Silverman, another short film. 38 is The Outpost. 37 is Code 8. 36 is Miss Americana. 35 is Boy State. 34 is Education, part of the Small Axe anthology. 33 is Impractical Jokers, the movie. 32 is Troop Zero. 31 is Love and Monsters. 30 is Mank, which starts off the 4 out of 5 stars. 30 is Mank. 29 is Bad Boys for Life. 28 is Red, White, and Blue, part of the Small Axe anthology. 27 is Onward. 26 is Dick Johnson is Dead. 25 is Extraction. 24 is Bad Education. 23 is Yes, God, Yes. 22 is The Old Guard. And 21 is The Five Bloods. Coming in at number 20, another hot take in this list is going to be Wonder Woman 1984. Call it cheesy, call it too long, call it whatever you want. Personally, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the chemistry between Gal Gadot and Chris Pine. I also love the duo of Pedro Pascal and Kristen Wiig. I think they're all fantastic. I think the story can be a little diluted at times, and there are plot holes. I'm not going to say there's not. There are things to criticize about this film, but I had fun with it, and that's what it was going for. The film knew what it was, and it went with it. It was cheesy, it was corny, it was funny, but it took it and went with it, and that was something I really respected. Patty Jenkins directs a really good movie. I think it's pretty solid. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Coming in at number 19 is Mangrove, which is also part of the Small Axe anthology. This is the brother or sister of the Trial of the Chicago 7. It's a lot of the same story, but it's a lot harder to watch. It is a very hard story. It's based on a true story, just like the Trial of the Chicago 7. I think the performances here are really good. Steve McQueen gives fantastic direction, and it just made me sick to my stomach watching it. Not because it's a bad movie, but because of the story. It's just awful, and the things these people had to endure, and it was just... It really hit me. It hit a chord for me. I really enjoyed this one. 4 out of 5 stars. If you have not seen the Small Axe anthology, I believe that is the last one that I believe that is the last one I had to talk about. There's 5 of them. They're all directed by Steve McQueen. They all talk about a specific community of people in like the London area in Great Britain, and they're very lively and colorful and vibrant, and they're very well done films, and you should really go check them out if you haven't. They're on Prime Video. I highly recommend the entire anthology. I watched them all in one day, back to back to back to back to back. It was an experience, and I really enjoyed it. Coming in at number 18 is The Gentleman, the newest film directed by Guy Ritchie, and I've really started to come to the realization that Guy Ritchie's one of my favorite directors. I wouldn't say he's in the top 3, but I'd say he's probably in the top 5. And The Gentleman is a great example of his style. His writing is fantastic, bringing in all of these really awesome characters. You got Charlie Hunnam gives a fantastic performance. Hugh Grant gives a fantastic performance. Obviously, Matthew McConaughey is like the star, and he's fantastic in this film, but he gives a low-key performance, which I really enjoy. But the way the story is told kind of in a film where it's just Hugh Grant and Charlie Hunnam reading a script, but they're actually talking about the story of what's actually happening in their lives. I really liked that type of storytelling. It was very unique and fresh and something I hadn't seen before. And this was one of the first films I watched in 2020, and I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. It was a dang good movie. And I've been meaning to rewatch it, and I'm going to rewatch it soon. I really am. I love this film. Coming in at number 17 is The Devil All the Time. Now, as The Gentleman was a more lighthearted film that was fun and funny to watch, The Devil All the Time is one of the hardest movies I've ever watched. And again, I'm saying it like Mangrove. It's not because it's bad. It's just because the story is so dark and deep. And these acts that these people do are... The devil is there all the time with them. And, you know, it's a really hard movie to watch, but that doesn't, you know... It hits on a lot of very different... ideologies and belief systems, and it faces them head on and says, hey, there might be a problem here. And you know, the performances are stand. I mean, Tom Holland gives the best performance of his career. I hear that Cherry is going to be the best performance of his career so far, but that hasn't come out yet. So for right now, it's The Devil All the Time. I think the direction's really well. It drags a little bit at times, but I don't hate that, because we jump back and forth in time, so you just kind of have to let it happen. And also, another performance I forgot to talk about is Robert Pattinson. He is scary, he is evil, he's just a very scary man. But this was a really a good movie, and it was done very well. 4.5 out of 5 stars. I didn't enjoy watching it, but I respect the heck out of it for what it was. Coming in at number 16 is Birds of Prey, another one of the first films I saw this year, and I was absolutely blown away. I mean, Margot Robbie is Harley Quinn, and she is fantastic. I'm so excited to see her in the Suicide Squad this year. I mean, my anticipation for the Suicide Squad is at another level, and a lot of that has to do with this film. The action is fantastic. I think the direction is really well done, and I love how it's not quick cut action. There are some instances with that, but they let the They let the action breathe, and you know there's like some one take shots in the finale of the action that's fantastic. And also having the story be from the point of view of Harley Quinn, someone who we know is mentally insane. What's real, what's not real, who knows? I love that about this film. The fact that Harley Quinn is the narrator and the person that drives us through this plot and through this film. I absolutely love that decision. I think it worked out really, really well. And I give it 4.5 out of 5 stars. It was a dang good time, and I really, really enjoyed it. Coming in at number 15 is The King of Staten Island. Pete Davidson can act, and he gave an absolutely fantastic performance in this film. The chemistry between him and Bill Burr is undeniably fantastic, and it's just a sad at some points, but also feel-good story that is a semi-biographical story of Pete Davidson's life. It's not directly, but it basically is a story of Pete Davidson's life. And I just really, I left it with a smile on my face because it ended with a very hopeful tone. And it's just, it all comes down to the performances. And this isn't a really big, flashy, showy film. Like I said, it is kind of like a biopic, but not completely. And it just is really carried by Pete Davidson. Bill Burr are the two emotional leads in this film, and they were absolutely fantastic. You guys should check it out if you haven't. It's on sale at Best Buy for, I think, less than $10. That's a really good deal. And I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. Coming in at number 14 is Sound of Metal, one of the most surprising films from last year, in my opinion. Surprising, but not, because now everyone's on the bandwagon and everyone's talking about it. But when I watched it, I'd only seen a few different reviews, but I was absolutely blown away. I mean, Riz Ahmed is a lock for at least an Oscar nomination. He could, I don't know if he'll be a lock. I'd have to look at all the nominations, but I think he could be a lock for Best Actor. I mean, he is the person we followed throughout this entire journey, and he is emotional, heartbreaking, and just fantastic in this film. And the thing that really everyone talks about, but I gotta talk about it as well because it's done so well, is the sound design. The sound design is the most important thing in this film. As our main character is starting to lose his hearing, we start to lose the sound when we watch the film. And we're hearing what he would hear if we were like him and had trouble hearing. And that is something that I think is very hard to do, and I think it was done very well. And, also the supporting performances are fantastic. I think the direction is very well done, but it all comes down to Riz Ahmed's performance and the sound design. I mean, those two things are perfection and sold me on this movie, and I really enjoyed it. I give it 4.5 out of 5 stars. Coming in number 13 is The Last Dance. So, guys, if you want to see how drastically different my list is from when it was when I did the top 10, The Last Dance was at number 10. So that means it moved 3 spots. That means there's 3 films in here that were not here when I did my top 10. So let's just get into it. So Last Dance, we talked about it in my top 10. It's a fantastic documentary. I think the way it's edited is really clever. I think the resources they had were just second to none, absolutely brilliant. I mean, you literally got all of the Bulls, and you got Phil Jackson and everyone involved to give interviews, and it was just absolutely amazing. I mean, as a sports fan, as a film fan, my two worlds collided, especially in the middle of COVID, in the middle of a lockdown. This was the perfect thing to have on TV. I absolutely adore it. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. And coming in at number 12 is Hamilton. I love the musical. I've already talked about this. I got to see it live before the pandemic hit, and the soundtrack is brilliant. The writing is amazing. Lin-Manuel Miranda, everything he touches turns to gold. He literally has the Midas touch. He's fantastic. The performances in here are great. Leslie Odom Jr. is a standout. We will talk about him more later. Wink, wink. But overall, I mean, it's Hamilton. What can you say? Brilliant. I'm so glad it got released a year early. I love it so much. I rewatch it all the time. And it got 5 out of 5 stars. Coming in at number 11 is Uncle Frank. I talked about this. I raved about this in my top 10 video. This is a fan-freaking-tastic movie. Very underrated. Paul Bettany is absolutely fantastic in this film. If you're watching WandaVision right now and you're seeing how much fun Paul Bettany is having, because that's what I think right now is how much fun Paul Bettany is having. You want to see him in a really good dramatic role, go watch Uncle Frank, because he gives his career best performance in this film. He is fantastic. The writing in this film is both heartbreaking and sad and heartbreaking are the same thing, and deep and emotional, but also hopeful at times. And the ending is so nice, and it made me come to tears because I was like, this is fantastic, what's happening? I'm not going to spoil it for you guys. I want you to go check it out for yourself. I absolutely adore this movie. It floored me. It really, really did. I loved it. 5 out of 5 stars, but it just missed the final top 10. So let's get into the top 10, everyone. Coming in at number 10 is Pieces of a Woman, a film that I had heard so much hype about, so much about Vanessa Kirby, Shia LaBeouf, the performances of the year. Give Vanessa Kirby the Oscar. I mean, I really believe that. I think she gives by far the best female lead actor performance of last year. It's heartbreaking. It really, truly is. I mean, it's such a fantastic, real, emotional role that she just knocked out of the park. Grand slam, absolutely fantastic. But on the other side, you've got Shia LaBeouf giving it another also heartbreaking performance. You're seeing both sides of this heartbreaking event that happens at the beginning of the movie. I'm not going to spoil it. You go watch it. It's on Netflix. It's absolutely phenomenal. You've got the counters to that, and it's just so emotional. And then the apples. I'm not gonna say anything else other than that. The apples absolutely broke my heart. It broke my heart. The direction is fantastic. The cinematography is brilliant. The one-shot take for the first 15 minutes of the movie is spot on. Brilliant. Gotta catch my breath because it's just a damn good movie. Go watch it. It's on Netflix. I mean, it's hard to watch, but you will be very rewarded at the end. You will. I mean, I felt very rewarded at the end because it's just such a fantastic movie. 5 out of 5 stars. Coming in at number 9 is The Way Back. I was so hoping and praying this would stay in my top 10 at the end of the year, and it did. Ben Affleck gives the best performance of his career, at least of what I've seen. I have not seen his entire filmography, but from what I have seen, this is the best performance of his career by far. I truly believe he should be nominated. I don't know if he'll win, but I really believe he's going to get snubbed, and I'm very worried about that because he deserves a nomination for this performance. All the supporting characters are great, but this is a Ben Affleck movie, and it's fantastic. Gavin O'Connor, we know he's great at directing sports dramas. He does it again, knocks it out of the park. The score in this film is fantastic, and it's just a really good, feel good at the end kind of film. Kinda hopeful at the end. Not gonna spoil it. Go watch it. It's phenomenal. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. All right, here we go. Another new entry to the list. Coming in at number 8 is Promising Young Woman. Wow, what a movie. I got to see it. I didn't get to see it early, but I was able to get a screening at home. So I didn't have to go to a theater. I got to watch it at home. I'm still at a loss for words with this movie. Carey Mulligan, I believe. It's got to be Carey Mulligan, right? Yeah, Carey Mulligan. I mean, wow. Give yourself a hand. I mean, if it wasn't for Vanessa Kirby giving the type of performance she did, I would say Carey Mulligan is the frontrunner. She will get nominated, and if she doesn't, it will be a huge snub. But I gotta give it to Vanessa Kirby. But the writing is fantastic in this film. I think the directing is really, really good. It takes so many twists and turns you don't expect to take, and the ending floored me, left my jaw on the ground. I'm not gonna spoil it because everyone needs to watch it without knowing what the ending is to just see the ending. You get a great supporting performance by Bill Burr. Truly, truly, truly believe that. And it's also a very empowering movie. I think they talk about a very important topic that isn't always talked about, and it's something that needs to be talked about. The culture and the things that women have to go through on a day-to-day basis in life is terrible. I'm just going to say that up front. It's terrible. And this movie does a relatively good job at addressing that and addressing grief. And it was very emotional and heartbreaking at times. And I got to give props to everyone involved because it's hard to talk about situations like that. And for them to do it in that way, I give props because it's a very important topic to talk about. It really, truly is. And go watch the movie because the ending is brilliant. Coming in at number 7 is The Invisible Man. The first 5 out of 5 I gave this year, and still a movie that left my jaw on the floor. Elizabeth Moss, I said at the beginning of the year, give her the Oscar, but again, that's the beginning of the year. This is before Promising Young Woman or Pieces of a Woman. I mean, but it's still fantastic. I think the supporting roles are really good. Lee Whannell directs his booty off here. I'm gonna family friendly, and it just one of the best horror movies I've ever seen. And I'm not a fan of horror, and it's more of a psychological thriller, but it's like the way it's written, no one is safe at any time. And all I will say is go see the restaurant scene and you will know what I'm talking about. No one is safe at any time, and I give them mad props for that. I love this movie, 5 out of 5 stars. All right, I'm going to try to get through these a little bit quicker, not because I don't want to talk about them, because my throat's getting a little scratchy. Coming in number 6 is Palm Springs. I already talked about this one in my top 10. It's a brilliant movie. I think it's done very well. I think this new fresh take on the Groundhog Day trope was really refreshing, mixing it with a rom-com. Adam Sandler and Kristen, I do not know how to pronounce her last name, but they are fantastic. Their chemistry is great. Having J.K. Simmons in there as a cameo is very fun and refreshing. He plays a fantastic part of this movie, and it's one of the most lighthearted and fun movies of this year, and I really loved it. 5 out of 5 stars, and it comes in at number 6 on my list. Before I give you my top 5, let me know down below in the comments, what is your favorite movie of 2020? Again, make sure, if you have not already, to consider clicking like, commenting, and subscribing. But I would love to hear what your top favorite movie of 2020 is. But coming in at number 5 is The Trial of the Chicago 7. I love Aaron Sorkin. I love his writing. I mean, The Social Network is a masterpiece when it comes to writing, and he did it here. He wrote fantastic about a true story that is heartbreaking and, is obviously stacked against the protesters, and it's so fresh to today and what's happening in the world today. And it's Sorkin. The writing, directing from him are fantastic. The cast, the ensemble is brilliant. I am not even going to name an individual. I mean, Sacha Baron Cohen is going to be up for an Oscar, I think. But the entire ensemble just works off each other so well, and it's just amazing. The whole world is watching. That's all I got to say. It's a fantastic movie, 5 out of 5 stars. And it comes at number 5 on my list. Coming in at number 4 is Soul. This movie is amazing. It's the most beautifully animated movie I've ever seen. It is beautiful. The detail is incredible. Pixar, pat yourselves on the back. It's fantastic. I mean, what can you say? It's about living life. That's what this movie is about. That's the core message of this movie. We let life fly past. We just need to live. And I love that is the message of this story. I love it. I think the score is beautiful. I literally bought the vinyl of the score like 2 days ago. I think the writing is so well done, and those Pixar tears were flowing when I watched it. It's absolutely brilliant. I love this film. 5 out of 5 stars, and it comes at number 4 on my list. Coming in at number 3 is Another Round. That's right, guys. Something topped Another Round at number 2. Or number 1. Ooh. But we'll talk about that in a minute. Another Round is one of the most surprising movies of this year. I don't watch a lot of foreign films. I know I sound very uncultured, and I really should, and I want to. But I'm so busy watching all the films that are released in the U.S. But Another Round is fantastic. Mads Mikkelsen gives a great performance. I don't think he'll be nominated, but I think he is a low-key underdog that may slip in there. I would hope it wins Best International. I have not seen every international film. I have to watch all the international films before I vote. But this is a front runner for me right now. The direction's great. The way that the story is told is very inventive and nice and refreshing. And it's just a film that has 2 halves. It's got 2 halves that are 2 distinct different stories. And then they collide at the end in a very just soothing place of zen, if that makes any sense. And I really enjoyed that. 5 out of 5 stars. It comes at number 3 on my list. But at number 2 is One Night in Miami. I wrote an article about this. You can go check it out. I have a review up that nobody has watched. I think it's got 1 view. Go watch that. It's the directorial debut from Regina King, which is fantastic. It stars Kingsley Ben-Adir, Leslie Odom Jr., Eli Gore, and Aldous Hodge, and they all give fantastic performances. But this is the Kingsley Ben-Adir and Leslie Odom Jr. show. They are the 2 emotional leads in this film. They are the 2 that are having the main argument in the latter half of the film, and it's an important movie to watch, especially nowadays. It's an important movie to watch. They talk about very impactful subjects. They talk about their place in the world, their place in the civil rights fight. I mean, it's brilliant to see 4 very historical characters sitting in a hotel room talking about life and the world and where they stand and what their place is in this world. The music's fantastic. I mean, we already know Leslie Odom Jr. from Hamilton and all that. He's brilliant. His rendition of A Change Is Gonna Come, I've listened to it on repeat. It's brilliant. Regina King directs it in a way that is so subtle where you don't notice it, but that's good because that doesn't take away from the conversations that are being had. These are very important conversations. I love this film. It's brilliant. 5 out of 5 stars. Comes at number 2. But I mean, y'all know what number 1 is. It's Tenet. I mean, Tenet's fantastic. Christopher Nolan is brilliant. His directing is on point. The practical stunts are amazing. John David Washington, Robert Pattinson, everyone involved give great performances. Elizabeth Debicki as the emotional lead, in my opinion, is fantastic. Kenneth Branagh is a scary villain, and I love this film. I've talked about it a bunch. I don't need to talk about it much more than that. But I'll run back my top 5 real quick. The Trial of the Chicago 7 is at 5, Soul is at 4, Another Round's at 3, One Night in Miami is at 2, and Tenet is at number 1. Again, let me know down below in the comments, what is your favorite movie of 2020? Guys, that is pretty much it. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch the video. If you have not already, go check out my second channel, FinaticFilm Reviews. I got a lot of reviews coming. Sundance is coming up, and I'm going to be doing a lot of reviews from Sundance. I am very excited. Guys, that's pretty much it. Have a rest of your day. We'll see you.